Welcome to the Curse of Strahd. I will be your humble host and guide. GOD, Game Operations Developer. You can call me God. Let's introduce our characters. Have all of my characters come up with some form of legitimate backstory?
Some backstory. I don't think I went to quite the extremes as Ryan may have, but it's in the ballpark.
We'll find out together, Kane.
We will find out together. So we're going to start with some character stories, just some introductions. Now, yeah, I think we're just going to do some introductions as if you guys maybe so let's paint a scene for a moment. Yeah, let's paint the scene first. Let's do that, and then we can discuss. So you have all somehow, some way, landed in Daggerford. Daggerford is a town that is on the Sword Coast in the Forgotten Realms. And the Duchess Morwen of Daggerford, she's having guests over for dinner, and you are all invited. You are not strangers to Daggerford per se. You have come to the town's defense on at least more than one occasion, and potentially, even though maybe we haven't spoken directly to one another, you have seen or noticed some of the other characters in your passings. And you count Lady Morwen as a friend and as a benefactor. So this is a non-hostile environment that we are in. We've been seated at the same table, and we're going to introduce ourselves to each other, but not in the way that your character actually would, in the way that you're going to do as a presentation for me, the DM. Would someone like to volunteer to go first? How about Ryan, since he prepared much? Oh, no.
You'll get extra credit, don't worry.
Yes!
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
With
super
inspiration.
long. Couple of minutes. It can be as long as you want. It can be as long as you want to sort of tell us a little bit about who's your character, a little bit of the backstory. Again, we are assuming that these characters are starting at level 1, which means that they are novice adventurers, but they have lived full lives. They're no strangers to life experience, just maybe the adventuring lifestyle.
Okay. And we are like convened at a table introducing ourselves.
Yeah, but you're doing it more like in a video format for me than like you'd be introducing yourself to Syndra, who's like a scary looking rogue.
Like
Okay.
one of those 80s date videos where you're presenting yourself.
Yes, can you do it in the style of an 80s dating?
Oh, man.
Can we get a little dance too at the end?
Oh, yeah. Whatever you want, so. Okay. There we go. Let me get in character really quick.
Breathe.
Friends, good evening. My name is Ramis, though those close to me call me Ram or sometimes Raz. My true nickname is Ramis the Golden. That is what those who have seen me perform call me. My tale is quite simple, at least for tonight. It all begins in Eastern Faerun. I never knew my parents. My earliest memories are from performing with a circus, actually. We went from town to town. I learned many skills growing up: acrobatics, music, dance, but singing was always what I took to most naturally. For years, I thought people came mostly to hear my voice, but it was not till I became a man and some changes started to occur. I point at my eyes, which are actually like pearlescent, there are no pupils, that I realized that I was not human like I had always believed, but I am Asimar. I think people came to hear me sing just as much as they came to see this strange celestial being. At around that time, though, there was a horrible event. The circus ended, and I came to travel on my own. I went west, performing where I could to get by, ended up in Waterdeep, not too far from here. But it was there that I met some of my first like-minded friends, other performers, not in the circus sense, not bear trainers, not dancers. No, these were poets. These were musicians. These were the bards of the College of New Ulm. They taught me many things, and they taught me how to tap into my musical ability to actually touch the weave and create magic. Anyhow, it is a pleasure to meet you, and I look forward to our dinner.
Dinner. A true performer. Who'd like to go next? If there are no volunteers, I shall pick.
Do it. Roll.
Okay. Zug. I rolled a very low score. I rolled a 2, so that's Zug.
Hello. I'm Zog. I came here because I was kicked out. My captain kicked me out of the town, of the guard. So I come to my only friend. I've forgotten her name already, but I am very hungry. And the seat is empty. Whoever was speaking before me is obviously not very hungry. Or that was a long speech.
Thank you, Zug.
Does anyone know when the food will arrive?
It will arrive very shortly.
Zug is hungry.
Zug.
So that is the most wonderful story. Thank you.
You keep talking.
Zug, listen. Rammies talk much.
Sindra?
Oof, all right. Okay, here we go. It was a tough act to follow. I will do my best. I am Sindra Nightstone. I am a rogue. Many years ago, my family tried practicing the dark arts to gain power. I participated once and something latched onto my soul. Soon after, I fell in love and we bore a child together. When it was born, it wasn't right. The creature that had once latched onto my soul was within my baby. Within minutes of the birth, it ripped itself free and consumed what was left of my child. Before it tore into the night, it took the life of my husband. Now I've sworn a duty to hunt down the evil that I brought into this realm. And I ask that you help me out with it and have my back.
Zug.
All you need to do is offer Zug some food and he would be glad to help.
I heard mention of food.
Food is coming, Zug. I promise.
Zug have no patience. Zug very hungry.
Well, once this old crockety wizard tells us a little bit about himself, we'll get to the feasting.
Zug understand.
Hey. Well, hello, everyone. I don't have too much of a sordid past, but what I can tell you is that my father was a traveling wizard, go from town to town, helping the locals. My mother was an herbalist and an alchemist, so I spent much of my youth traveling from town to town. I picked up small tricks here and there, and eventually joined the Alchemist Guild myself. I learned a few things from my mother and a few things from my father, and now I more or less work on my own. The Alchemist Guild, they're too stuffy for my liking. I much prefer traveling and following my father and mother in their footsteps. It's been a long time since I've been adventuring with fellow friends, but I look forward to spending much more time with all of you.
Thank you, Kane. So as the food comes pouring out, you get a lot of tenderly cooked pheasant, big meaty potatoes, some hot spicy soup to soothe a bard's soul. As you are dining, you can tell that the Duchess seems a little bit out of sorts, more out of sorts than usual. Then a pall comes over the occasion as she voices her concern about a band of wayward travelers camped outside of the town's walls. They seemed harmless at first, she recounts, but she's received reports that they've begun harassing townsfolk and other visitors as they come and go, demanding money, demanding wine, and threatening to put hexes upon anyone who doesn't pay up. Yesterday, the Duchess ordered several guards to scare away these visitors, but they couldn't get the job done. And when the guards returned, they spoke sympathetically about the visitors. It seemed as though the guards had magically been charmed. Morwen doesn't want armed conflict. She wants to send a stern message to the visitors and ask you to deliver this message on her behalf. She says, if they don't leave before dawn, I'll burn their wagons to the ground. So Morwen asks you all, this party, to deliver a message immediately after dinner. So once you are done with your dinner, she wants you to go to this camp of visitors that are just outside of the town's wall and deliver the message. She wants you to ask them to leave strong-handedly, but again, she doesn't want any conflict, no armed combat. The travelers are camped on the hill right outside of the gates of Daggerford, right near the road that leads to the main town. Guards that are on top of the walls of Daggerford are watching the camp closely at all hours. So, dinner is being served. You've gotten your fill, hopefully, at this point, Doug. Where do you guys go next?
So what were they doing to passersby?
They were demanding money and wine and harassing the townsfolk and other visitors.
So they're like highway bandits.
First I scraped like half of my plate onto Zug's. I offered him the rest of my food.
Zug. Zug likes scaring people. Zug will enjoy this job.
You might need your strength, Zug. It sounds like.
Zug have infinite strength. Zug is most powerful.
Pretty
And
sure
I
Zug's
smash my fist on the table.
ends at about 13. Not infinity. Pretty different numbers.
Zug not no numbers. Zug is infinite.
Well,
So where are you guys gonna go?
I say we get a move on here. We wouldn't want to keep the Duchess waiting.
You guys want to head to the encampment?
What time is it right now? Is it
Maybe about
evening?
7.
Is the sun setting right now?
It is, yeah. It's a beautiful sunset that you can view from right outside of the town's walls if you head there.
Something. Nighttime, best time to strike. Best time to scare.
perhaps
Zug, you do have a point.
the sunset will add to our words. We just need to describe to them the situation and perhaps they will leave.
We should set their
Yes, words.
wagon aflame.
When did they need to leave by? Was it dawn?
She said that she wants them to leave before dawn or she will burn their wagons to the ground.
This seems like a compelling offer for them.
I'm gonna start
Yes.
heading down to the hill with my weapons in tow.
So she doesn't want violence. Can we,
That is what she told you.
has she dismissed us? Is she gone? Is she here?
She has left your table. She's given you these explicit instructions and she has left. She's still around, available if you'd like to speak with her further.
Do we have like why. Is it just because she's trying to maintain the...
I mean, there's bandits outside of her town. She wants them gone. Seems pretty
No, I
cut
meant
and
the
dry.
line of violence.
Seems fair.
Oh, I mean, she's pretty civil herself. That's how
Mm.
she presents herself. And
It's
she
not
doesn't,
like she's gonna be there when we go.
she doesn't like to have violence in her
Talk
city
to
when
them.
unnecessary.
Good
Of
point,
course, if
Dani.
it resorts to violence and violence happens, it happens. But she would prefer it to be handled without violence.
It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, really. I say we go down there and make ourselves known. Maybe they're not so bad after all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the sun is starting to set, so better make up your mind.
So we're
We
going.
should leave
You're going.
before nightfall.
Okay.
Should we consider our approach? Maybe our friend Sindra could stay hidden as
Sure.
we meet with these friendly sounding people.
Something tells me
want
Sintra will
more.
be quite good at staying hidden.
You're quite right, Kane.
Zug no fan
Not
of
for me.
stealth and shadows.
Zug,
Zug like face to face.
I think you should be with me, Zug.
Should we consider bringing them a peace offering, like a bottle of wine or two? See if we can be like, here, take this, now you can go.
We should take wine either way.
Yes.
Should
Would
be
you like
last
to ask
resort.
for wine or take some?
We should ask for some. That's a good idea. Be free.
Zug will pick up any leftovers and stow them in his pocket. Just a fistful of whatever food he can find, and just right into
Like a
his
potato.
Zug finds some manner of a half-eaten plate. He doesn't even know who it is, belonged to someone. And he finds the remains of some mash and some gravy and a little bit of meat. And he just like uses his hand as a scoop and he just scoops it, scrapes it.
I'll
into his
also lick the
pocket,
plate.
Just like taters and all. It's everywhere. Like it's just completely obvious. There's like a line down the side of his armor that you can see where he just scraped the taters in.
I'll also try to grab some wine, but seeing as it's liquid, it just escapes my fist. So I'm just kind of confused and getting a little angry.
Zug, here. I bring him a bottle or some vessel to pour the wine into.
Water skin.
Ah, bottles are nice. Bottles are shanks in dangerous situations.
I do not want to know what situation that is, but
The
Anytime
night
Zug
continues
drinks
to
too
grow
much.
dark.
so what say we leave here
We are making our way toward the last known area that the bandits were in.
outside the gates. We're headed.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
so how do you approach the encampment?
Can we get a description of the scene? Like, so we're.
If
so
you want to
we're-
send a character to look ahead, we can do something like that.
Do we have access to the walls? Could like
Mm,
out a little bit.
I mean, there's just a front gate, and the encampment is a little ways outside of the front gate.
Okay.
And also, the encampment is kind of shrouded in the forest, so you wouldn't actually be able to get a
Oh.
great view of it from the wall.
If the camp's in a forest, are there like any trees I could climb and hide in? That would be a good vantage point.
Well, as soon as if you are heading that way down the road, because they're just off the road outside of the main town, if you do head that way and head out the main gate, you can see the encampment from where you are, and it looks anything but hostile.
Oh.
Okay.
Jovial, one might even say.
Could I do a perception check on that?
As you approach, if you want to get a little bit closer, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is starting to grow dark, and as you approach the encampment, you see about a dozen men and women who are gathered around a bonfire. And the folk seem like they're in good spirits and not hostile. A few of them are singing and dancing around the fire, while others find happiness in their flasks and their wineskins. There are 3 barrel-topped wagons that are parked at some odd angles and tied to a nearby tree. There's about a half dozen draft horses that are wearing bright coats with bangles and tassels decorating them.
Do we see all that, or is it just
You guys can
Sindra?
all see that if you are standing right outside of the road.
Do I recognize any of the draperies or any of the signs or anything?
Roll me a
Perception.
no. I want a knowledge religion check.
Ooh.
Okay, give me a second.
Kane, you got this, Kane.
Well, let's see. Okay, so knowledge religion, you said?
Yes.
Okay. That is, just rolled away. 15
With your
with everything.
modifier.
Yep.
Okay, 15 is okay. They look like gypsies almost, and you recognize these folk matching the description of a certain type of folk that you've heard of called Vistani. The Vistani, the basic information that you know anyways about Vistani is basically that they are lively folk, they're vagabonds, they're wanderers, and they travel around in sort of horse-drawn, barrel-topped wagons, and they dress in bright clothes, and they are tradesfolk, and you just know that they are not the typical type that you'd expect to be vicious.
Would it be safe to say that maybe Kane might be getting an inkling that the Duchess might be overreacting a little bit?
Well, she may not be overreacting. You're not sure, because Vistani do like wine.
Okay.
And lavish things.
I recognize these folks. These are the Vistani. They are not known to be violent. Perhaps we should make sure that when we approach, we share a similar demeanor.
I do not trust the traveling kind of folk without home, without bonds.
It looks like they're having fun. Zug want to have fun too. We should go and talk now. Time for merriment. Time for wine.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to sneakily find a hiding place. So that would have a good vantage point.
Okay.
Is there...
Perhaps before you go, Sindra, perhaps maybe we have a sign that we can do so that you could recognize when we are in trouble.
Excellent.
You won't be able to necessarily hear everything that we say.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Kane uses minor illusion to kind of create a light off to the side, like a little image, so that she'll know what to look for. Doesn't have to be anything in particular. It'll just be something that he knows she'll be able to see.
Cool.
So Kane sort of flashes this little symbol, almost kind of like appearing maybe even above his hand, and it just illuminates slightly. And it takes the shape of a little
Caterpillar.
carousel horse.
The carousel horse, I like that. The
Doing a
danger
little spin.
carousel horse.
It's very small. So it almost, to anyone who's far away, it might just look like a little gleam or a little light. But if you were to observe closely, it looks like a little horse on a carousel doing a little circle.
Lovely.
Kane, this is an odd choice, but it should do.
I don't know how else we could safely communicate with Sindra if she's too far for us to be able to speak.
I
Zug
shall
will give
flail my
signal
arms
when shit goes
yell
down.
help dramatically. Help!
Perhaps that will be a good backup plan, Ramis.
There we go.
Done.
Okay, so you want to go and hide somewhere. So it's kind of a foresty type area. Where do you want to go and hide? In a tree, behind a bush? Give me a little description of what you want to try to do.
I would like to hide in a tree where I can still hold and utilize a ranged weapon.
Okay. I need you to roll me a stealth check.
You got this, Sindra.
Yes, I do. Nat 20.
Oh, okay, 26.
First roll!
And to climb up the
Sindra.
tree, please roll an acrobatics check.
Okay. Watch, this is where I get like a 2. Alrighty. Oh, okay. 25.
Okay.
Jeez Louise.
So you are a leaf on the wind and you scurry up the tree like there is no tree even there. And you are sitting in the tree and looking down. No one has noticed you.
Excellent.
What do the rest of y'all do?
I think we should approach naturally, non-threateningly.
I
Zane
will
can
raise-
manage a simple saunter.
You guys should scope out someone that looks like they're in charge.
I will be in the middle of the group, and as we saunter up, I will raise my battle axe and shield above my head and clang it 3 times, and I want to yell out, "Time for fun! Time for wine!" to announce their presence.
Okay, so as you guys approach the camp, you start to see the men and women. A couple of them look over and notice you and almost wave you in as if to say, come, join us.
Saunter over. Do I see anybody who would appear to be a quote-unquote leader?
Yes, as you approach, you see a man who looks a little bit older than the rest. He is quite old, almost as old as you, and he looks a little wizardly. And as you approach, the leader sort of comes your way to greet you. And as soon as you are close enough to speak, he says, "Hello, travelers. Come, sit, join us."
I want to introduce myself. My name's Zug. Zug come here for fun and wine and talk, but mostly the first 2.
Well, Zug, you have come to the right place. That is all we do here. Fun and wine. And occasional talk. My name is Stranimir.
That too long.
Zug,
Too
maybe he
long.
would be okay with you calling him S.
Uh,
But Zug, I think you should produce the wine we brought.
I fish in my pockets and I pull forth mashed potatoes in one hand and gravy in the other.
Oh, Zug.
So came here for wine, not giving wine away.
Stranimir looks at you and like cocks both of his eyebrows in total surprise. You are very curious to him. And he looks to the other 2. He looks to Ramis and Kane and says, come towards the fire. We'll have plenty of wine to share. And sort of beckons you to come and join some of the festivities.
Can I sense motive to see if I get a general demeanor of this guy? Like, does he mean us any kind of harm or anything
Yeah,
like that?
sense motive check.
Can I do, perception?
You guys can both sense motive.
Okay.
Oh, that's insight. Right.
Oof, that's only a 12.
I would
how
love to
about
help with
a
these checks,
16.
Hey!
So with a 16, you can sense that Stranimir does mean well. There's a weatheredness in his voice. But that just might be his character. You can't really tell.
I take him up on his offer. Stranimir, is that his name?
Stranimir.
Stranimir, what are we celebrating tonight?
We are celebrating the joy of life, as we do all nights.
Doug understands.
Great.
Life good.
So as you sort of approach the fire, a female approaches, a female Vistana, plural Vistani, singular Vistana, She approaches and she says, "Father, who are they?" And he says, "Travelers. This one is called Zug." Because he's the only one who introduced himself.
I wanna raise my right hand full of mashed potatoes in offering to this new person.
How old is this person? What does she look like?
She looks about maybe middle-aged, maybe around 40, 45-ish. And she's dressed in brightly colored clothes. Lots of tassels adorn her jacket. And she has sort of a stocky way about her, the way that she moves. It kind of reminds you of Syndra.
Is she hotter than the bonfire she's standing next to?
If you want her to be.
Poetry.
Zug will blush.
I kind of like step in front of Zug and I say, "It is a pleasure to meet you. My name is Ramis."
Okay, Ramis.
I will shove Ramis out of the way and say, "My name is Zug. Zug have food. Zug pleasure meet you."
She sort of like almost squints her eyes a little bit. She's like half smiling and she squints her eyes and she looks over at her father, Stanimir, like, "These guys?" And she introduces herself to you. She says, "It's lovely to meet you, Ramis and Zug. My name is Damia. Come, have a seat. Let me introduce you to my brother." And she sort of leads you over towards the fire. She fills your glass with wine, and she sits you down and introduces you to another male who is sitting there, who's adorned in a what appears to be like a captain's jacket, and he introduces himself to you as Ratka.
Captain's jacket.
Yeah, he kind of looks very captain-y, yes, like very
Like a captain
official.
of the guard?
Captain Hook.
Or yeah, captain of a boat, captain of the guard. What kind
It's
of
like
captain?
scraggly, leathery captain. He's at the end of the day, he is still a like a vagabond, but he looks a little bit official, more official than the rest, less colorful than the rest, but still, you know, in spirit like the others. And there are 9 other Vistani who are hanging out around the fire, singing, dancing, telling stories, and having a dandy old time.
I'll introduce myself and offer the mashed potatoes once again.
None of the Vistani want your mashed potatoes, and they all individually make that clear to you.
Realizing this, I will just eat the mashed potatoes from my hand.
There is one female who does come up and see you hold out and extend your mashed potatoes in your hand, and she looks very drunk. And she sort of just like grabs a little like piece delicately out of your hand, and she eats it, and then she like runs away to the other side of the fire.
Zug will chase after this woman.
I whisper to Kane, "What are we doing here?"
To get on their good graces, you handsome devil. You should be able to make a little bit of progress with that. Perhaps we can find a way to have them move along without resorting to Zug's preferred methods.
Mashed potatoes? Or
Well,
mashing their head potatoes?
well, he is out of mashed potatoes now, so I can only imagine where he might get more.
I'm gonna come running back after I've chased this woman for a few seconds.
Can I'm actually, so is this guy, I forgot, is it Rat
Stanimir.
Stanimir's the first guy, right?
The first guy, sorry, the head guy, the elder.
Who's the
His
captain?
name is Stanimir. The captain-like looking guy, his name is Ratka. Ratka.
I want to ask, my 2 fellows, are we going to talk about Duchess?
Yes, Zug, in time. But first, we need to speak with them about other things so that they do not believe we are just here to threaten them.
I look around at who's performing. You said some people were like singing and dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like an individual who seems to be the center of attention or leading?
No, they're kind of singing almost together. There's not really one singing and the rest dancing, but there's a few who are playing some small instruments and singing, and a few who are sort of dancing and enjoying that music and festive vibe.
I'm going to pull my lyre off my back, and I look at Kane and I say, "Let us make some friends." And I like walk towards these people, producing.
Kane nods and follows.
I approach them, and at first I try to like follow along with what like music they're producing at first, like not trying to like take over just yet.
Not trying to cramp their vibes.
No.
They gladly welcome you into the group and even start to mesh their melodies around what you're doing.
So they're following my lead now?
Yeah, you're most likely a better performer than they are.
Obviously. Okay, I'm gonna take it up a notch, and I think I'm gonna play out this first song, and then I might start my own tune.
Okay. They will sort of follow your lead a little bit while also, stumbling around because they are a little bit drunk.
Do I have Stanamir's attention or Rotke or?
Stanimir is just hanging out by the fire, and Damia and Radka will kind of stay near where their father is.
Okay, I approach the fire, and that's when I get my first jam really started.
So you're trying to impress them.
Yes.
What instrument are you playing?
A lyre. So I just hit just a badass chord, ding, and I lean into the three of them, and I begin my song.
Okay, roll me a performance check.
That is.
Can I assist him in dancing?
You may. Roll me an acrobatics check. Sorry, Ramis, what was your roll? What was your roll value?
I got a 20.
Can I assist by...
Okay, so you are just jamming out. You've just got that lute and you are jamming. You look like a rock god right now to them. You are just flowing. Hair is just waving in the wind, and they are enchanted by what's going on.
I'm going to cast a couple illusions that look like fireworks going off around him.
Yes. When that happens, that's when I start singing. Then I throw my golden voice in there.
So I just got a natural 20 as well.
Oh shit!
So Zug just starts busting out.
I reach into my pockets and grab more mashed potatoes in my right hand, and I have the cup of wine in my left, and I am just jumping for joy, trying desperately to click my heels in the air.
And you succeed.
To the rhythm, of course.
He is completely on rhythm, and his heels are clicking, and the party sort of almost kind of stops what they're doing to watch this happen.
The music stops. It's just him clicking his heels.
I am very much into this. I am trying to perform synergistically with Zug. I'm not trying to
You've started to, they are definitely, you can tell that they're smiling and they're watching, and you can see that they're starting to gain your favor.
I'm just dancing around, meow, meow, and I give Kane a big wink.
What is Kane doing right now? Is he just sitting and hanging out?
Setting off fireworks.
Setting off fireworks?
Yeah, he's amping
illusion up. Fireworks. I'm making it a light show on top of the singing and dancing. Kane, as you might imagine, is a little older than the average person in this group, and he's not quite so spry as he once was.
Cinder, will you roll me a perception check?
Mm-hmm. Oh, God damn it. No. I had a rogue die go. 9.
You are looking at the encampment from the trees.
Great.
You can see that there are people and that there are interactions. You can tell that this seems very friendly and non-threatening.
Can she tell like there's just like once in a lifetime performance happening right now?
Even from the distance that she is at, she can tell that your performance is legendary.
Wonderful. Good. At least I didn't miss out on that.
Okay, so you perform for the elder and his children and the rest of the encampment, and they seem to be growing in your favor. They already were friendly towards you, and they now kind of seem not just friendly, but also like
relaxed,
very welcoming. Yeah, they're excited that you're there.
Zug is gonna sit down. He's quite tired now.
I approach Stanimir, and I say, so I'm like breathing heavily from just singing my heart out.
What's up, Stanimir?
What brings you to Daggerford, anyways?
We are but travelers in the area. We don't generally stay very long, but this area has suited us well for some time. We plan on being here until further notice or until something feels like it pulls us elsewhere. We are but travelers and wanderers. We go where we please, and we please with where we go.
I have some information that might compel you elsewhere, my friend. I'm looking at Kane to to see if he's like nodding or shaking his head.
I'm here. Kane nods. Yes. We do have some troubling news, and we wanted to speak with you about it.
He raises his eyebrow at you.
Listen, you seem like nice folks, and we have certainly enjoyed our evening with you. However, I forget the lady's name. I explained to him the situation.
Lady Morwen.
Our Lady Morwen has asked us to come here to ask you to leave.
Stanimir laughs at you. Don't worry. We have no wish to make enemies of Lady Morwen. In fact, I have a story to tell you all. First you listen, and then we will go. Do you agree to listen to his story?
Does he seem like a compelling storyteller to me?
Yes. Hold on, wait.
Does he still seem like jovial?
He is very captivating.
Okay.
Yes, he's very jovial. He wants to tell you his story before they go.
Okay.
Before they go where?
He doesn't say. He just says, first, you listen to our story, and then we go.
I love a good story.
He invites you to gather around the fire to hear his tale.
I'm going to grab more wine. I'm going to need it.
The Vistani fill your wine gauntlets.
I cheers Zug.
Yeah. At this point, do any of you want to summon Sindra to hear the story?
I think it would look super suspicious.
That would give away that I was hiding in a tree creeping on everyone.
Yeah, that would be really suspicious.
As you all gather around the fire, as you all gather closer, Stanimir looks towards Kane and Ramis, and he asks, "Oh, there are just 3 of you?"
There is another. We have no reason to lie.
I love
She was stationed outside the camp in case perhaps you folks turned out to be hostile.
Oh.
She'll no doubt be following us in shortly. I'm sure she saw our little show.
He laughs again. He bellows, "Ha! Hostile!" And he sort of makes it like he puts on a big gesture as if he knows that he's being watched and says, come forward, come listen, come towards. And he sort of like makes a showing of like, come to the fire to listen to his story.
I don't think I would go unless I saw Kane's signal.
The signal was to show you that we were in danger.
Yeah, we never agreed on a like.
Yeah, there's not a non-hostile signal.
Yeah, there's no "this is safe, come in" signal.
Okay, I stand up and do my flail and yell, except I like turn it into a dance. Like
Sandra!
Okay, Syndra will roll a perception check.
Okay. 15.
What is it?
15.
Okay, you can tell that he's not in danger, and it looks like he's signaling you to do something, but you don't know what.
Okay.
I start doing like Syndra. Like I'm just pointing in her direction.
Okay. I mean, that would have probably blown my cover, so I will cautiously walk towards my party.
Okay. And as you approach, and I'm assuming you come within Stanimir's vision, line of sight, he sees you and he beckons you forward with a flask of wine.
Could I subtly investigate the wine just to make sure it's not poisoned?
You can.
Can I do that in a way that he won't pick up that I'm investigating it for poison because I don't trust anybody?
Investigation check and roll me a sneak check, stealth.
Okay. I will do investigation first. Not good, 10. And for stealth, 10 also.
So you can't tell whether or not it's poisoned, but it looks and smells like very normal wine to you. And he for sure notices, but doesn't say anything.
God damn it. Okay.
I notice and I stand and I just down the rest of my wine.
Okay. All right. I guess I would walk up and introduce myself. No, I'm so sorry. I was hidden in the shadows before. We just had to make sure that your group was trustworthy. You know, there are a lot of
Highway bandits.
Unfortunate folks in this area. Thank you so much for the wine.
I told them you were taking a piece.
What?
I told them you were taking a piece.
Perfect. Yes. I was using the restroom, but here I am ready to join the party, and I'll take a small sip of that wine.
Stanimir bellows again. He laughs. Ha! There was nothing to be afraid of here, traveler. And he beckons you to sit. He says, please sit. Listen to my tale.
Okay.
He really, really wants to tell you this story.
I'm ready.
It's like he's getting impatient.
Yeah.
So, as you all clamor around the fire and sit down, Stanimir gets up and he grabs a glass of wine, whatever wine is nearest him. He doesn't even care which wine glass it is. And he grabs the wine and he picks it up and he chugs like a really big swig, and then he spits it into the fire. And the flames turn from an orange color into almost like a lemony lime green. And they dance and they sway, and then a dark shape appears in the bonfire's core. He says, we've come from an ancient land whose name is long forgotten, a land of kings. Our enemies forced us from our homes, and now we wander the lost roads. The dark shape in the fire starts to like take form, and it looks like it kind of evolves into like a little man. And you see the man shadow in the fire, and he gets knocked from a horse with a spear piercing at the side and falls down into the fire. And Stanimir continues, and he says, One night, a wounded soldier staggered into our camp, collapsed. We nursed his terrible injury and quenched his thirst with wine. He survived, and when we asked him who he was, he wouldn't say. All he wanted was to return home, but we were deep in the land of his enemies. We took him as one of our own, and we followed him back to his homeland. His enemies hunted him down. He said that he was a prince, yet we didn't give him up, even when their assassins fell upon us like wolves. You then look deeply into the fire, and you can see a dark figure standing with a big, great sword drawn, and it fights off a shadowy figure of, a bat and a wolf and all sorts of shadowy, ghostly shapes, and it starts fighting them off. This man of royal blood fought to protect us as we protected him. We bore him safely to his home, and he thanked us. He said, "I owe you my life. Stay as long as you wish. Leave when you choose, and know that you will always be safe here." The figure that's dancing in the fire and swinging away vanquishes its final foe, and then it kind of disperses into a cloud of smoke and embers. Just disappears, and the flames turn back orange, and Stanimir's face becomes very somber, and he says, "A curse has befallen our noble prince, and it has turned him into a tyrant. We alone have the power to leave his domain. We've traveled far and wide to find heroes such as yourselves, to end our dreadlord's curse and put his troubled soul to rest. Our leader, Madame Ava, she knows all. Will you return to the land of Barovia with us and speak with her?" And he pleads to you this question.
Is this part of the story? Or you want Zug? You want Zug?
I want Zug.
Has Kane ever heard of Barovia before?
No.
No.
Actually,
never heard
hold
of
on.
this land.
Before I let you go with no, have me a knowledge. Just roll me a plain knowledge check. There's no knowledge
check?
common or
just-
anything like that.
No,
Wisdom.
you're thinking 3.5, Danny. There's
Wisdom.
Wisdom, yeah, okay.
Yeah, wisdom.
Okay.
I definitely don't know that.
Insight, wisdom, yeah, just a general knowledge.
It could be like
Okay, that's 21.
Ramis, roll me a knowledge check.
a wisdom.
Wisdom.
19.
Okay, so
You're not gonna ask Zug?
Zug.
Zug.
No,
Zug.
I'm not. So Ramis has heard of a legend of, he recalls the name Barovia in a legend of one of the spookier songs that he knows. And Kane has read a scripture once that mentioned Barovia. He's maybe seen that word once before, but really hasn't heard anything about it, just knows that he's seen this word before. He's heard it. He's heard Barovia. That is not a brand new word to him.
I've heard of Barovia, but I must say I do not know much of this land. Why is that?
Our leader, Madame Ava, she knows all, and she will tell you everything once we arrive. She has the answers you seek.
You mentioned something curious. You said that you were the only folks that lived there that could leave.
Our kind is the only kind that can travel freely.
And what of our kind?
As long as you are with us, you will not be engulfed by the mists of Barovia.
Kane looks over at Ramis.
Ramis, this is truly dangerous.
Yes, the only time I've heard of this place is from this horror song I know. It's when I want to scare the shit out of my audience.
We have to accept the fact that if we go there, we may not be able to leave so easily.
I want to hold my hand up to King's chest in like a stopping motion. I want to ask the leader, like, what in it for Zug?
The leader, Stranomir, he goes to one of the barrel-topped wagons, and he firstly pulls back the curtain to sort of reveal that there is a lot of wine in this wagon. And secondly, he procures from the wagon a small vial filled with a clear-ish liquid, and he brings it towards you guys, and he says, this potion will prevent you from being engulfed by the mists of Barovia. This will serve as a protection.
Can Deckard, or sorry, Deckard. That was my. Can
Brain
Kane?
flip.
Yeah. Can Kane sense motive to see if he believes this guy?
Yes, go ahead. Sense motive.
Can I roll too?
Insight.
Yeah, you guys can.
I'm gonna walk towards the
That's a
wine wagon.
20.
I got a 15.
It's not a nat 20. It's just a 20.
Okay. You don't sense anything off, but it seems like he's not even sure that that's true.
Okay.
He doesn't feel like he's lying to you. You don't sense that he's lying to you, but you sense that he is not certain even of himself entirely.
Hold on a second. What was this guy?
I want to ask him a question.
Stranomir, where did you get this potion?
Kane kind of motions toward his satchel, and he basically alludes to the fact that he actually comes from an alchemist guild, and he's never heard of such a thing.
He says, we make it ourselves. We are tradesfolk and craftsmen by nature. Some of us even alchemists. As the only folk who are able to travel freely from the lands of Barovia engulfed by mists, we have been able to concoct this vial. But it does come at a hefty price for those who are willing to purchase.
What price would that be?
For you, we will provide this at no cost should you come to visit Madame Ava.
You mean gold price, not like I'm going to grow ears out of my back or something.
Neither.
Okay.
He bellows again. Ha!
Stranomir, would you mind if I took a sample to examine?
Mm-hmm. He says to you, this potion is of great value, and we do not relinquish it without good reason or great cost.
Of course, of course. In fact, I don't even need to touch it.
He will let you hold the vial.
Okay. My intent is to cast, what is it? Do I have it? I think I do. Yeah, as a ritual, detect magic to see if that potion actually holds any kind of magical value.
Okay, so I guess let's see. I'm pulling up your sheet. You said we are going to cast specifically detect magic?
Yeah, detect magic.
Okay. Spells.
Yeah, for the duration, you sense the presence of magic within 30 feet of you. If you sense magic in this way, you can use your action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, and you learn its school of magic, if any.
Okay. So I would like you to... how long do you study the vial for?
Well, the detect magic ritual takes approximately 10 minutes to complete, and then I should be able to see pretty darn quickly if there is any aura around this potion to see if it has any magical properties.
Okay. So as soon as you cast detect magic on the potion, you can see that it lights up with a very, very faint aura. Very faint.
And can I detect what type of magic it is?
No. The aura is so faint that you cannot even tell what school of magic this is in.
I am skeptical of this potion's ability to do as you say. However, I do feel compelled that we should go to this place and help these folks.
Your help would be greatly appreciated.
What say you, Zug? Sindra? I like them.
Zug won compensation. Zug won wine cart.
Uh,
Sounds like it is on the table, Zug.
Stanimir tells you there are days of travel ahead and you shall have plenty of wine.
I'll go ahead and narrow my eyes and agree after a few seconds. Zug will go if Zug is promised wine.
Stanimir does promise you wine.
I would agree to leave if we can go just before dawn.
He says, we can leave now if you desire.
I have a suggestion. Perhaps if you pack up and move out of the town's area, we can tell the Duchess that we've succeeded in our task and come back and meet you and leave immediately afterwards.
He agrees to start packing up if you guys want to deliver a message to the Duchess. You also have been instructed by the Duchess to, like, if you don't want to go back because she's probably sleeping by now, to go ahead and just tell one of the tower guards, one of the gate guards. You also, if you leave, just you leave and accomplish your mission. And she
So
sees
there was no compensation for this mission we were given?
absolutely not. No, she will not offer you
It
any
was the
compensation.
Why do
dinner.
we even like this Duchess?
Perhaps we should go kill the
She's
Duchess
an old
instead.
friend.
She is, you have good rapport with each other. She is the town's leader and you have helped defend the town and you both do your jobs.
So the Duchess is a stingy bitch, then.
She is not actually. She fed you a huge dinner.
We had to put our lives on the line here. Zug almost like burned his hand on mashed potatoes.
True.
Pull 'em out to
They
everyone.
weren't that hot by the time that he scraped the leftovers.
Came the Duchess, you know. She
He knows when the DM is trying to railroad the party. We should go now.
Get in the fucking wagon.
The sooner we go, the sooner we can drink.
I assume Zug is already the wine
That's
wagon.
very wise, Zug. All right, do you guys agree to go in the wagons and travel with them to Barovia?
Yes, but before we do that, I'm going to also cast Find Familiar as a ritual to summon my owl, and I will have the owl sitting somewhere out on the wagon, like where the driver is or something like that, to keep an eye out so that I can see from the owl's perspective.
Okay.
As we're packing up, I want to talk to Stanimir. Before we head out, should we make any kind of preparation? I have heard Barovia can be a taxing place to visit.
He scowls a little bit. What you've heard is not untrue. The plague, the curse that has befallen our once great prince does inflict itself upon the land. That is why we need you to help, to assist, to relieve us of this curse. And he puts his hand on your shoulder and he says, "You will do just fine as you are."
Okay, I say, I kind of like move his hand off my shoulder, and I say, yes, but why us? I mean, I understand why me and maybe why her, and I point at Sindra. Why us?
He looks at you and he says, "Madam Ava will have all the answers you seek."
I want to get Zug needs to blurt out a question like, "Are we the first?"
Why
the first
Zug?
what?
Go on.
Why, Zug?
Are we the first?
Yeah.
We still love Zug.
He says to you, "Our land has received adventurers sometimes in the past, but to no avail."
Zug nods his head and says, "Yes, they probably weak, not unlike Zug." Wait, Zug strong.
You all seem like a very strong and capable bunch. I look forward to you convening with Madam Ava.
Ava, nice name.
I guess we should meet with Ava.
Yeah.
So we
Okay,
agree
we're all in
to
agreement.
How long
we
is this
agree to
trip?
get in the van. All right, so
We're on
you
the
guys
van
are
already.
you're agreeing to get in the caravan. Zug's got his wine. Y'all are telling some stories. So the Vistani are going to lead you along the tradeway, and after several days of pretty uneventful travel, nothing really happens. The mist.
I'm serenading Zug this entire time. I'm
Keep him
trying to
calm
get
and
Zug to
distracted.
like me for some reason.
Zug is at peace.
Zug is very happy. He's swaying with his wine on the back of the
Okay.
wagon. Like he's
I'm
loving
like
it.
singing him drinking songs.
Zug, how much wine have you consumed after several days?
I have consumed approximately half of the wine from the wagon.
You don't even know how much wine was on the wagons.
Constitution saving throw? DC
Did
50?
Zug just die?
You want me to roll? I'll roll.
All right, Zug, roll me a. Yeah, actually, this is going to be a Constitution roll. Yeah, this is
It's a
going to be
regular
straight up
con roll,
endurance.
not con saving.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a saving throw.
Okay. Oh shit. It's 2 + 5.
Oh.
So I've drunk half of the wine, but the majority of it has.
Zug, while listening to Ramis's beautiful song, just falls right the fuck off the wagon, face down into the dirt, and just immediately falls asleep on the ground. And yeah, he just falls off the wagon, falls asleep. The wagons keep going. And if any of you are on the back of the wagon, you can see this happen.
No, I immediately jump off and I start to like drag him.
So as soon as you jump off and walk up to Zug, Zug just barfs everywhere, like all over your feet.
Well, no, wait.
Explosive
Can I
vomit.
roll Can I roll
Dexterity?
a saving throw?
Acrobatics.
You can roll an acrobatics check to see if you jump out of the way of the barf.
I have to dodge this. Okay, that's an 11.
Total with your acrobatics?
Yeah.
Yeah, you attempt to jump out of the way, but you're just a smidge late.
A little
And
bit of a mist.
you get barf on one of your nice shoes. The other one is okay.
Silk
I
shoes.
swear to fucking God. I still am. I'm dragging him, but I'm really.
And the wagons at this point stop. They've seen that two people have jumped or fallen off.
When I see the barf, I'll jump down and help Ramis.
Kane casts Mage Hand and assists with what little force the Mage Hand can
I don't even
help.
touch him.
All right, so a spectral hand sort of appears into the air and just sits on Zug's the back of his head. And I'll take also, how much does Zug weigh?
Oh, like 300. pounds.
300?
Okay, I'm going to need a straight up strength check from both Syndra and Ramis.
This is not how I pictured our adventure ending.
Ooh, I do not have good strength.
That was a 13 for me.
Ooh, the DC is 15.
16.
Okay. So Syndra is able to successfully lift her side of Zug. Which side, by the way, were you on?
I'll hold the feet.
Just drag him by his feet.
So
Ramis behind his head is gonna vomit on me.
He's holding Zug by the arm, by the shoulders, and luckily the mage hand is there helping out with the heads. You've got that extra 10 pounds. We'll give that a +1 pulling up for Ramis. But unfortunately, Ramis just at one point he just loses his grip and just drops.
His hands are slick with vomit.
Around. And Syndra is just carrying. Syndra just continues to carry Zug's legs very successfully. She pulls him, straps him over her shoulder, and starts carrying his legs. And Ramis was holding the front end behind her, and unfortunately loses his grip and drops Zug right on his head. But then quickly scrambles to come pick him back up, not after Syndra has already dragged him for a little ways.
After he slips out of my grasp,
Is this considered a short rest for Zug?
No. And eventually you get him back on the wagon, not unscathed.
Sleep, my sweet prince. And I just wipe some vomit chew on his face.
I want to do a vomit burp right now.
Okay. So Zug is back on his wagon successfully-ish. Covered in a little bit of dribble, it's red, it's a little chunky, a little red mashed potatoes just kind of hanging down the side of his face and a little on his neck, a little bit in his hair too. And he just lays on the back of the wagon, just sprawled, one leg hanging off, one arm hanging off, and he's just completely passed out.
In bliss.
So you travel for another day or so, and nothing happens on the road, and soon you begin to see and feel this mist sort of come about and engulf the caravan, and you feel that something has changed. You feel that you are no longer connected to where you were. Any ties or feelings or tethers that you had to the land that you were just in almost feel like they've been severed very abruptly. You just feel like a drop in connection to
What do I see through the owl's eyes?
Mist.
I,
You are seeing mist. The mist almost is just like a wall. It just comes suddenly, and the wall almost seems to reach out and embrace the caravan and pull it in.
Can I tap Kane? How confident are you in their alchemical ability, Kane?
Not very at all.
Should have stayed at home.
I am going to scramble, and I assume we all have our own elixir bottles.
Yeah, he's given each of you a small vial of this elixir, yes.
Zug will scramble to drink his. He is very scared right now.
You drink your vial and hang out.
Do we know when we're supposed to drink it? Is it now to protect us? Or is it if we try to leave? How does that?
Danimir will tell us.
Mm-hmm.
Stanimir has told you that this vial is to sort of protect you against the effects of the mist, but he hasn't told you what the effects of the mist are.
Okay.
Does Kane feel any different now that we've passed through the mist?
You feel the same thing that the rest of the characters feel, which is any tethers that you have felt towards the plane that you just were in. You feel almost like an abrupt end to those tethers. You feel like somewhere, you've left where you were and you are somewhere new, not visually, but almost spiritually.
What happens when the owl flies out to try to go back out of the mist?
So are you gonna ask your familiar to kind of try to command the familiar to leave the mist?
Yeah, to just back out to just beyond where we were to see if it can escape the mist.
Okay. So as the air grows chill around you, you notice that the fog starts to hang deeper and deeper and thicker into the air. And the owl attempts to fly back in the direction that it came from. But it winds up exactly back where it started as soon as it tries to leave. And it cannot leave the way that it came in. It will almost just be turned around and lead back to the same lonely dirt road that you are traveling on.
Okay, so the rest of you see Kane kind of like look off at this edge or at the side of the wagon, but almost as though he's looking through it and vacant. And then you see him kind of like shake his head and turn toward you, and he says, "It would appear we won't be leaving any time soon."
What is that supposed to mean?
We will not be escaping the mist until we either find a way to deal with it or perhaps do what the folks here have asked us to do. I suggest we continue and speak to the Vistani's leader, this Madam Ava.
Well, doesn't seem like we could be going much of anywhere anyways, and I give Zug an elbow to the ribs.
So you are surrounded by this pretty creepy looking mist, and eventually, after sort of a ways, you wind up approaching this little tiny road. You're kind of on this little dirt road as you're getting enshrouded in the mist, and the road sort of starts to open up. It's still pretty misty and heavy. You can see on all sides, and you're familiar, that owl can see that you are in some pretty dense woods. Yeah, you're in some pretty darn dense, dark woods. And you can hear sounds coming from the woods. You can hear almost what sounds like screams in the distance and bellows that are happening way far away from where you are. And you see, as you sort of approach this big iron gate in front of the road, kind of this 20-foot tall iron gate is awaiting you. And black pools of water are like dark mirrors in the muddy roadway around you. And there's big giant trees that are looming on either side of the road, and their branches almost look like they're clawing into the mist. And after about 5 hours of being engulfed in the mist, you come upon some humongous gates. There's a big broken looking wall. It looks broken, but you can't tell because there's so much mist up and around the top of it, so you can't entirely see the top. But you see fog spilling out of the forest, and it swallows up the road behind you. So Zug, who's sitting on the back, and Ramis can see that this mist that's behind you and that's on the road seems to almost just get swallowed up and eaten as if it weren't even there. And ahead of you, ahead of the wagons, you can see jutting from the impenetrable woods on both sides of the roads, there's these really high stone buttresses looming gray in the fog that surrounds. And there's huge iron gates that hang there in the midst of the stonework. The iron gates are clad with rusted bars, and there's dew that's clinging to these rusted bars. And you see two headless statues that look like they're guardians at the flank of the gate on either side of this big, giant, 20-foot high iron gate. And they're headless, and they stand in armor holding swords, and they're kind of faced down. And the heads of the armored giant guards that are standing next to the gate are lying among the weeds at the feet of the guards who clearly once the heads were on, and now the heads lay at their feet, growing and entangled in weeds. They greet you only with silence. And as you approach, the gates swing open and the screeching of the hinges opens up the gates, and the wagons pass through the gates. The gates open in front of the lead wagon. There's 3 wagons. And as soon as the rear wagon opens into the gates, the gate screeches closed behind you. And the caravans.
Someone else feels slightly terrified.
As you should. So as you are traveling through these gates, through these big gates, you get a sense. Actually, can I get like I'll have all of you roll. Let's roll like an intelligence check for this.
Just flat intelligence.
Let's do, what do I want? I want, actually roll me Arcana specifically.
Better at that.
You guys can all roll.
God,
That is
6.
a 21.
12.
What did you roll, Zug?
I rolled a natural 20, but my modifier is -3. So 17.
That's still pretty good. So Zug and Kane both get this sense, they get a feeling just like inside of their bones that those gates will not open the other way. They get the feeling that they have been
sure of that.
They get the feeling that they've been let in and they cannot leave. Because these are huge. Like what you're looking at is in the middle of the forest, these huge cliffs sort of converge, and there's this huge 20-foot stone wall with this huge iron gate built into it. And you just have this feeling in your gut that I can't go out. Okay. And as the adventurers sort of make their way through this area, you guys are going to be traveling just on this dirt road for a bit longer. So you guys continue to travel on this dirt road for a little while, and you travel through the woods. So there's a bunch more woods that are engulfing the sides, and you guys are pretty safe in the caravans, which is nice.
Can I have the owl kind of scout ahead, like at about the range that the owl can be before I lose connection?
Yeah, what is it? It's like only like 100 feet, isn't it? It's not very far.
Yeah, it's not super far.
He sees woods.
Sees woods, yeah.
Sees woods.
He's like scouting ahead to make sure there's no serious trouble.
Are our hosts doing anything? Are they just sitting in silence?
No, they're talking amongst each other and they're acting like everything is completely normal. They're actually having a dandy good time, drinking wine and hanging out.
I want to move. I want to join their ranks and just like shoot the shit and distract myself.
Yeah. Totally. So as you talk to the Vistani, as you talk to some of them, you start to, you've befriended them maybe after a couple of days and they're a little loose with their wine. And they tell you that this land, what they know is that this land had been conquered long ago by a ruler whose name is Strahd. And Strahd basically named the land Barovia after his father, King Barov, because Strahd was a prince. So they tell you this. And you also get the sense that they feel very free in this area. They don't have the same spooky feelings that you're getting. And they seem merry, and they seem fine, and they seem happy-go-lucky, like everything is okay.
Yeah, because they can leave.
At least they say that they can leave, and at least you feel like you can't.
With the
Well, the
forest
owl could
surrounding
not.
us. With the forest surrounding us, is the forest, or do we still hear screams and creepy things from the forest? Or could I do a perception check to see?
No, you don't actually need to roll a perception check. You can still hear weird, sort of ominous noises coming from the forest. And as you look into the forest, and as you look over and you perch over to see what the forest looks like, you're kind of perched over the caravan, just kind of looking out into the forest. You see this like muddy pool of water. And as it sort of like follows along the dirt road trail, because the mist is like very, very heavy and thick. And so it sort of pools in certain areas. And the muddy dirt trail starts to almost turn into a stone trail. And the waters sort of convene in a little area in the stone. And as Sindra looks over and observes the now clearer water off the side of the road, she catches a glimpse of what looks to her like a very old, decrepit, and decaying version of herself.
Cool.
And with that, next time on Curse of Strahd.